Shalom and welcome to our weekly Torah class. Tonight we're studying Tzav. If you will join us starting in the book of Leviticus. And that chapter is, I don't have it here. 6 verse 1. Thank you. Here we go. 3, 2.
Texas, once again, we are going to be studying the Torah Parashah. Its name is Tzav. Tzav means command. And so we're going to be taking a look at what God instructed Moses to tell the priesthood, Aaron and his sons. Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, our Father who is in the heavens, we thank you for your grace. We thank you for your love and your provision for us. We thank you for the ability to get this class out on the internet and to have people be able to see it both at live and at the on demand from the archives. So Lord, I ask you to be with us tonight as we study. We're studying your Torah, and there's no way we can get your Torah without your help. So please bless us with your spirit tonight as we study. Everybody say it. Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me tonight.
I ask you to feed me tonight.
And I'm thirsty, Lord.
I'm thirsty, Lord.
Give me living water from heaven.
Give me living water from heaven.
So I have plenty to pour out upon others.
So I have plenty to pour out on others.
In the name of Messiah Yeshua.
In the Messiah Yeshua.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem. All right, beginning in Leviticus chapter 6 and verse 1, it says, Vaydaber Yahweh el Moshe lemor. Bring up the Torah there. All righty. We're a little short-handed tonight, but we're long-handed with God. And we'll give our programmer the ability to get everything all lined up before I start talking again.
Can you hear yourself?
Hmm?
Can you hear yourself okay?
Mm-hmm. Is there a problem with the Bible?
No, it's on my end. The canvas size is different, so I got to change it to a wider shot.
Okay, everybody please stand by while we correct the technical issue on the cameras. Won't be but just a moment. How many of you know that the Torah is the original word of Yahweh? How many of you know that? And that in it, he gives us directions on how he wants to be worshipped and the different kinds of things that we need to be doing as his followers, the kinds of things that would help us to be incorporated into his kingdom. And most of the time when you see information on the Torah, it's brought up in the form of commandments or instructions that God gives to Moses and to the priesthood. And I'm not sure what's happening on there, if they're hearing me or live or not, or if we disappeared
You're
totally.
still live.
We're still live. So we have Tzav. It starts with the letter Tzadi, which is a double yud reaching down to the earth line. It looks like a tree branch when you look at it. There we go. That is the word Tzav, and it means command. Now, if you'll notice, the first letter in this word is on the right, and that is the letter Tzadi. T-Z-A-D-E-E, Tzadi. And it shows two yuds reaching down to the earth line and dwelling in the earth line. And that is the letter of righteousness. The word righteous starts off with Tzadi, and then it's connected command comes to the next letter, which is a yud reaching down to the earth line. So you've got a total of 3 yuds reaching down to the earth line. It's not a resh, because resh, here's a resh above. Let me see, I got one right. Yeah, Dabar. Yeah. Right here. There's a resh. Notice it's a full width letter. And what we have down here is a narrow letter. See the difference?
Yep.
So Tzav would not have a resh in it. It has a vav, which is, the word vav means hook. It's like a shepherd's staff. It's got a hook in the end of it. And when a lamb falls in the water about to drown, then that hook can be used to pull the lamb to safety and to help it survive. So it's the word Tzav then has 3 yuds reaching down to the earth line. There's 2 yuds at the beginning, and that's even shown very clearly in the name Yud He Vav He. In fact, that's right here. We have a Yud, He, and a Vav He. So we have, in the name of Yahweh, we have 2 yuds reaching, one's reaching down and one isn't. And that's what we have in Tzav. The first 2 letters that are compounded together is a yud and a vav. And the vav is leaning, but it goes to the earth line and dwells a short time in the earth line. And then we have vav. Vav is the one that's reaching down to the earth line. Here's the yud again, and here's the vav. And the vav is reaching down to the earth line. So we have the vav right here, and it's reaching down to the earth line. Why? Because God is interested in us. He created us. He had a purpose in our creation. So Tzav is understood to be teach or command. So God is using his word Tzav to instruct us, to give us commandments, instructions, and things that we can implement as a part of the early priesthood of his covenant. His covenant is the early part of the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. The next word on here, bring the Bible back again, please. We have another yud reaching down from heaven, a vav reaching down to the earth line, and an upside down yud on the tail end of it. I wish I could show you that a little more clearly. Let me just bring up my Tzav, Tzadi. Let me just make those letters thicker so I'll make sure you can see them. Okay, we'll try it one more time here. I don't want that to happen. Anyway. Now I'm going the wrong direction. There's an ayin and a tzadi. And a tzadi makes noise, but an ayin doesn't. Okay, here's the word. Here's the letter tzayin. Notice it looks like a tree with a branch hanging out there on the right. You see that?
Yep.
It's the first letter of, well, it's the last letter of the word eitz. Eitz. And eitz means tree. All right? So a tree has branches to it. That's what's characteristics of the tree. The ayin does not have branches, but it looks like it does. The ayin is actually an eye looking upward towards heaven. That's what our eyes tend to want to do when we're wanting to be in touch with God and his kingdom. As we look heavenward, we pray towards God, and he's in the heavens. And so this means eye, or it can also mean ayin, which means well or spring. What happens when your eye gets something in it? It tears up, doesn't it? Trying to wash out what's coming into it. So your eye may stream, it may flow and stream. And so the ayin here is a picture of a well or spring or an eye, a human eye. So we have a very clear picture here of a tree on eighths, ending with the letter tzadi. And so that's the beginning instructionary letter of the command, the word command. So we have tzav means command. So we can see there's a clear linking of the command that's coming from heaven. See, the top line is the heaven line, right? And the bottom line is the earth line. So we see three yuds reaching earthward in this one that's called tzav, or command. So the power of the word to command then has God's power behind it. This is what? Do you remember? The sign of the direct object. Okay.
Something like that.
So this tells us where the action is going. So what's the action that's being done? So we have tzav, which is the word command. That is a verb. It's telling Moses to do something. And what is he supposed to do? Instruct or command. And then the next thing we have is the sign of the direct object. So that tells us that the next word is going to be the direct object of the command. You're going to command Aharon and his sons. Are you following me? So the Hebrew then tells us clearly who is the causative part of this action and who is the recipient of the action. Now the previous verse tells you who is supposed to do the commanding, and that was Moses. Correct. So if we go back up a little, the word of Yahweh to Moses.
It's hard to see through the scribbles.
Right. So this is the word of God to Moses, and he said, command et Aharon va'et benav. So that means command Aaron and his sons. Saying, lemors means literally to say. Zot HaTorat HaOlah. Now, on a simplistic form of the Torah, people often see this as being Torah, but it's really not. It is the teachings or the instructions or the well, that's what the Torah is teachings or instructions. And it says, say this, Torat, and Torat is understood to mean this section of commandments, this part of the Torah. Ha'olah, the elevation or ascension offering, the ones that are burned up and go up in smoke. And then we have a little confusion here for people that know modern Hebrew, but if you know anything about Torah, you know that the Torah mixes he and who back and forth in its presentation. So this actually means she. So the Olah is actually a feminine form, so it makes sense that she is the Olah al HaMizbeach. So he's telling us instructions that the Olah offering, the one that's burned up completely and goes up in smoke, she is the Olah on Mizbeach. Now all of these are female words here. So it makes sense that this would be a feminine form, which he means she and who means he. And so we see that the heave is literally saying she. And of course it makes sense with the wording being all feminine. This is a feminine word right here. And this is a feminine word. 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 All of these words are feminine. Even the next ones. Every halayla, every night, it's still a feminine word. Up until, ad means up until or up to. Give me one more second here and I'll get to your question or comment. Ha-boker, that means morning. Boker is not feminine. It's masculine. The esh and the fire, hamizbeach, a feminine word. Hamizbeach means the altar. Tukad is burning on her, on him, on it. See, this would be like on him right here. So that's more of a masculine form of it. So there you see a flip from he meaning the Torah or the commandments of this section, or go back up, or the Olah, which is feminine, Mokdah, the burning is feminine, and on the Mizbeach is feminine, Kol Halayla, all the night, every night, up until Boker, morning, V'esh HaMizbeach, Tukad is burning on him. Bo means on him. Okay, now you comment.
Does the way all this feminine and masculine make any suggestions according to what sex the male is? I mean, what sex the offering is to be?
No, because in some cases it's supposed to be a male, in some cases it's supposed to be a female.
But it's all burnt offerings.
Right. The females are usually offered by the priesthood for themselves, and the males are offered by the children of Israel for themselves. Why? I don't know. Ask God. He gave them. So, but it's interesting that up earlier, this is a female. He is a female pronoun, and bo, meaning in him, is masculine. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yes.
Now, bo might be pointing back to the fire, which is doing the burning, and the ash, maybe it has more of a masculine nature to it because it doesn't specify a feminine gender on the word. So it would probably be assumed to be a masculine too. So maybe the bo is referring to the ish. But I can tell you that there are many times when the genders are flipped on the use of the word he or she. it flips it from the masculine to the feminine in the middle of the sentence, which you're not supposed to be able to do that. That would not be correct Hebrew for modern Hebrew.
But we're talking ancient Hebrew.
But we're talking about Torah Hebrew.
Ancient Hebrew is Torah Hebrew, right?
Well, yes, but there's another question about ancient Hebrew. There is an ancient Hebrew style letter formats that you can see, and they're generally intended to be easier to write with a stick on clay. If you look at the letters, the way the ancient form appears, it looks like it's a form of lettering that's created for writing in clay. In other words, like for business purposes. Whereas the Torah is more of an instructional format, and God wants it clear what he's saying. And so this would be not necessarily the most ancient form of the letters, but when God gave us the Torah, it was clearly this form of Torah, of lettering. And this is called the Aramaic form, font. And that's not what I believe. I believe the Aramaic took it from the Hebrew rather than the other way around. So, my opinion, you're welcome to your opinion, you're welcome to mine too. But just know this, that if you want to ask a question, you can send it to asktheRabbi@tzION.org. Verse 3. Ulabash. Labash means to put on, or to, in this case, dress yourself with a garment. So labash here is the verb, and it is masculine in nature. So the priest is to labash mido, his garment. So the direct object here is assumed automatically, in this case, to be mido, his garment of linen, and his breeches of linen he shall put up on his flesh. V'hairim, and he shall take up hadeshen, which is the ashes of the offerings, asher tokal, which has been consumed by ha'esh, the fire, et ha'olah, the elevation offering, or the burned up offering, al hamizbeach, on the altar, v'shamo, and he shall put them. Sham means put, shamo means put him. Eitzel is a word that means literally by or at the home of something. So Eitzel hamizbeach would be at the place where the altar is, where it resides. That's its, you might say it's his home, if you will. And so Eitzel means literally his place, his home. Place is probably the best way to interpret that. So it's going to be at the place of the altar. He's going to put these on the place of the altar. Okay. Verse 4, V'pashat, he shall put off et bigdav, he will put off his garments. Here's his, tells possessively whose garments these are. So he shall put off et bigdav, he shall put off his garments, v'labash, and put on bigdim, garments, acharim, other garments besides the one he was wearing when he was doing the olah offering. And then he will carry forth, hotzi means literally to carry forth, the deshen, which is the ashes, of the michutz means literally outside, outside, and here the word mechaneh, outside the camp. Mechaneh means camp. Unto makom, that's another word for place. Tahur, a clean place. So why do you think they use the word makom here for place? And why did they use Eitzel up here for the place of the altar? See, here we have Eitzel. Eitzel.
One of them means beside, like off to the side, not exactly at.
Okay. That's not the answer I was looking for. That's okay, though. I'm glad you're using your brain. That's good. So he shall put off his garments, the other ones, and carry them forth, the ashes, without the camp, a place, makom, tahor. Now, makom literally means a standing, because you have the root in here, kum, and that means a vertical standing pole, or something else is vertically standing, like a human, or whatever.
I was looking at that.
Makom is the full shorish. Makom is understood even in modern Hebrew to be a place. A spot, but used widely of a locality, general or specific. Also figuratively of a condition of the body or mind, to be standing as opposed to being knocked over, overwhelmed, things of that nature.
Interesting.
So, Eitzel means the place of the place and the vicinity of something. Like if I say Holek imi leitzli, Eitzel means my place, to my place. It may be literally or figuratively to my house, but it could also mean to my ranch, or to my town. You know, the town would be a different word that's used, but I'm talking about the figurative and essential meanings of these words, which are all conceptual in nature. So he says, V'ha'esh, and the fire, al hamizbeach, on the altar, to kad, will be burning, bo, in him, not tikbe, it shall not be put out, not to be extinguished, uvier, it shall burn on it, the Kohen, eitzim, the wood, baboker, every morning, baboker, and every morning, and shall arrange. You shall arrange alech upon it the burnt offering, and he shall burn thereon the fat of the peace offerings. Now I want to go ahead and take this to English, and we will continue reading and pick up a little speed for There we go. this is the wrong chapter, so let me continue going down till I get to the next chapter. And then down on the page. Notice that there's a discrepancy here between our English Bibles and the Hebrew Bible. We're actually on English Bibles, we're on verse 10. But in the Hebrew Bible, we're in verse 3. That's just the way they numbered the verses. So sometimes the English and the Hebrew get skewed off by a couple or three verses, 7 verses at this point actually. And you just have to keep that in mind when you're reading, because it can be very confusing. And you'll look up something in the Hebrew, and you'll go to verse 3 in the Hebrew, and then you'll find out that in the English versions, it's actually verse 10. And so you have to jump down 7 verses to get to where we're reading.
And those are only spot markers anyway, aren't they?
Right.
Because in the actual true Hebrew, there is no chapter and verse. It's all straight through.
Correct. But in order to find things a little more easily, they've assigned numbers to it, but that would probably only work if the numbers happen to be the same. So anyway, when the fire has consumed the burnt offering on the altar, the Kohen, having put his linen garments and covered himself with his linen shorts, is to remove the ashes and put them, this is Eitzel Hamizbeach, so this is at the place of the altar. And then he is to remove those garments and put on others before carrying the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. Yes, sir?
Is it because his garments have been soiled by the sacrifice?
It's possible that they did get soiled by the sacrifice, but it's possible also that God doesn't want just ordinary soiling of these clothes. And so he changes to more regular clothes when he's taking the ashes out of the camp.
In other words, dressing in clothes that, getting out of clothes that are strictly designed for the temple.
Right. Because those are particular clothing and they're intended to be used in a particular way. And the priesthood had the formula for how to keep these things sparkly white and clean. And so when they do other work with it, then that's a different kind of soiling, and it would require other means of cleaning than what they would normally do on these.
Yeah, heavenly bleach.
So we've got the priesthood making these changes of garments, because obviously God doesn't want just any kind of soiling on these special clothing that are made for the priest. So he's to remove these garments and put on others before carrying the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. In this way, the fire on the altar will be kept burning and not allowed to go out. Each morning, the Kohen is to kindle wood on it, arrange the burnt offering, and make the fat of the peace offerings go up in smoke. Fire is to be kept burning on the altar continually. It is not to go out. Verse 7, this is the law for the grain offering. Now this will be verse 14 in your Christian Bible, if that's what you're using. This is the law for the grain offering. The sons of Aaron are to offer it before Yahweh in front of the altar. Some of these words are very interesting. When it says in front of the altar, it's actually saying before the face of the altar.
Rabbi?
Yes.
When it's talking about the fire should not go out, does that mean a 24/7?
No, it means it's going out from the time it's to be lit until the time it should be finished burning, and that's on a daily basis. So it should be lit every morning, yes, but it does not mean that the fire is eternal in the sense that it just continues to burn continually. Another example of this usage and form is the candles inside the holy place. It says that they're to to be an eternal light. They're to be there burning eternally. So we get the picture in our mind that it never goes out. However, the priesthood is supposed to light those candles in the afternoon. And what do they do before they light the candles? They put oil in, they trim the lamps, get it all set so that it can burn brightly. And so it's an eternal flame in that it's to be lit every day about the same time, and it's supposed to burn all night. So it's not supposed to be allowed to go out at night. So until morning. Why would that be? Well, because nighttime is when you need the light from the candles. In the daytime, you wouldn't need the light necessarily to do your work, but at nighttime you do. Is that helpful? So the altar's flames are the same way. They are supposed to be kindled in the morning and kept burning all night. And so it doesn't say what time in the morning, but at the time of the first sacrifice, they're probably supposed to be putting the fire on the altar. It wouldn't be allowed to be burned continually, because how then could they take the ashes off of the altar and take them outside the camp to dispose of them? So it's talking about having them burning all day long and at night. Okay? At night, it's going to be essentially coals and then ashes or soot. Yes?
Does this also apply for the Sabbath?
Yes, it does. Comment?
That was it.
Then what's the point?
I just want to know if it would apply to the Sabbath.
Okay, so tell me what you're thinking, Larry.
I'm thinking about questions that have come up to me that answers.
Okay, I just have to give you a hard time because nobody else will. Anyway, he is to take from the grain offering. Let's look at, first let's go to verse 14 in your English Bibles. This is the law for the grain offering. Now this is no longer the Olah offering. This is not the law for the, in fact, I want to go ahead and look at this. Okay, so this will be verse 7 and
14 Hebrew. Or 7 Hebrew.
okay, let's just keep moving here. This is here it is again, Torah. And Torah is not the whole Torah, it's the section involving certain subjects. Okay? Torah would be the whole 5 books of Moses. Torah would be the section of the Torah dedicated to this particular subject. For example, here it's the Torah HaMincha. Say mincha. You let that cha on the end rattle a little. Mincha. So it is the bloodless offering. It is a grain offering. It would be something like maybe pancakes or baked bread in an oven, or maybe flour that's been baked into like dumplings into a dish or something of that nature. Quit licking your lips. We know you like it. So it says this is the Torah HaMincha, so the section of the Torah concerning the bloodless offerings. HaKarev. And it,
Meat offering right now.
huh?
You said meatless, bloodless.
Bloodless, but this is a bloodless offering. It's translated the meat offering because that's what the Old English called it. It was not had anything to do with animal flesh. It had to do with grain offerings. They called that meat offerings. Okay? That's where we have a little trouble sometimes with people when they're trying to take a term from, for example, ancient English and translate it into modern English, and they think they understand it, but the fact is there are words that get past you in your understanding. And so the meat offering in the Old King James is talking about bread and grains and nuts, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with animal flesh. So here it says the meat offering shall be offered, and here's the sign of the direct object, otah, shall offer it. The sons of Aaron are going to be offering it before, lifnei, before the face of Yahweh, el panei hamizbeach, and
Can you scroll down?
the face, you can see it all, and the face of the altar, mizbeach. Okay? Oh, you want to see if I'm right? I got you. There it is. Before the face of, if you will, the hamizbeach, the altar. Okay? So was I right or was I wrong? Verse 8, and again, this is in the Hebrew. So you're looking at about verse 15 in the Christian Bible. He shall take from it, and then we have kumso. That means a handful, a heaping handful of the flour, misolet. Misolet is solet means literally fine cake flour. Is essentially what it's talking about. And it says, Hamincha, the meat offering. But there's no animal flesh in it, so why they call it a meat offering? Because that's the ancient word. Anytime a food is something that you eat and it gives you strength, it's a meat offering, regardless whether it's animal flesh or not. But in the Bible, meat offerings never are talking about animal flesh. Okay?
The only time I've heard of meat offering is like the inside of a nutshell or of any kind of nutshell.
You got the meat of the pecan,
Yeah.
you know? Right. And that's not animal flesh. Okay? Yes, sir?
In cooking, usually meat meant the inside part of something.
Mm-hmm.
Because the meat of the bread or the meat of the cake is the inside.
Right.
The outside. That's usually what it means in cooking.
The part that gives you sustenance, that strengthens you. Okay? So, when it says that God created Chava from Adam, and it says she is meat for him, it means she is strength to him. It gives him strength. That's what it's talking about.
In the King James, it's spelled, she's meat, it's spelled M-E-E-T, not M-E-A-T.
Okay, you could be right there. Sometimes my brain gets little tricks on me like that. Okay. But anyway, it meant sufficiency. It was sufficiency for Adam, a strength sufficient for him. So the meat offering then is supposed to have shamna, mishamna. It's from shemen. Grease, especially a liquid like the olive juice, or figuratively, or perfumed. So we have so the meat offering is basically soilet, which is cake flour, mixed with oil, and all of the fragrances, frankincense, which is upon the meat offering, ha-min-ha, the meat offering, and it shall be burned upon the altar, ha-mizbeach. And then we have two words that sound an awful lot alike, It can be very confusing to people who are new at studying Hebrew. Riach literally means an odor. And nichoach. Choach means literally, it's a sweet odor, pleasant, a delightful odor. So we have riach, niach, an odor which is sweet smelling. Azkarata, a memorial. Zakara is a shorish that was in it. A reminder part of it. Azkara, from a reminder, specifically remembrance offering, a memorial. So it's a handful of the flour that is taken by the priest as a memorial, and it's to Yahweh. V'zot, and this Torah, the Torah of HaMincha. Again, we have Mincha, which is the bloodless offering of grains and nuts, okay? Hakriv, and shall offer Ota, yet, or her, in this case, B'nai Aharon, the children of the priesthood, before Yahweh, unto the face of the altar, HaMizbeach. And then V'herim, and he shall take mimenu, from it, its handful, kumso, misolet, of the flour, of the meat offering, and of the oil, the shaman, there's the root, shorish is shaman, and all halbonah, the frankincense, which is on the meat offering, mincha, v'hiktir, and it shall be burned upon the altar, hamizbeach. And again, it says it's a sweet smelling odor, memorial of it unto Yahweh. Verse 9. If you're looking in your King James or your other Christian Bible, it's going to be probably verse 16. V'hanoterat, and the remainder, what's left over, mimena, from there, yokalu, and that means literally to, ochel, means literally to eat, consume, and it will be for Aaron and his sons. Matzot, that means the unleavened bread rather. Te'achel, shall be eaten. B'makom, in the place which is kodesh, holy, b'hatzar, the court, be in the holy court of the tabernacle of the congregation, they will eat it. So it's supposed to be eaten in a clean place by the priesthood. Verse 10, not shall it be baken with leaven. You shall not allow it to be spoiled, ferment, to rise up because of fermentation. Hilkam, their portion I have given it, Ma'isha. It's an offering by fire. Kodesh, Kodeshim, most holy is he. Kachatat, that means a sin offering. Here's the shorish is chata, means sin. And just bring that on up. Hakata means literally the sinfulness, habitual sinfulness, and is penalty, occasion, sacrifice, expiation, also concretely an offender. So we see that this offering, this mincha, is understood to be a sin offering for the priesthood or whoever has sinned. Not all how do I want to word this? I want to word it clearly. All sin offerings are olah offerings, but not all olah offerings are sin offerings. Does that make sense? So you can have olah offerings that are not for sin, but they're just an offering that's made unto Yahweh. And verse 11. Kol zakar, every male, bivnei, among the children of Aaron, Yochal Lena, shall eat chak, a statute, olam, it is a statute forever. And then the next word is essentially the same thing, ledorotechem, throughout their generations. Yes, sir?
Does this mean that all the descendants of Aaron are provided for on this, or just the ones in service?
It just means what it says. What did it say?
Aaron
and his sons forever. Okay? And this is Ma'ishay, the offerings, the fire offerings of Yahweh. And then in verse 3, no, wasn't verse 3?
12.
Yeah. Verse 12. Vaydeber, if you add 7 to it, makes about verse 19. Vaydeber, and spoke Yahweh to Moses, saying, I like to say, and worded Yahweh to Moses. Verse 13, Zeh karban. Karban means an offering of Aaron and of his sons, which they shall offer yakrivu. That means to draw near, to bring near to God, to Yahweh, on the day when he is anointed, Mashach. Mashach is Shorish for Mashiach. He asharet, a 10th part of an ephah of fine flour, mincha for a meal offering, tamid, perpetually, forever. I believe it also means perfect. I don't say perfect here, but it means to stretch out forever. So he's supposed to offer half of it in the morning and half of it at night. We'll go back to our Bible now. In English, this is 14.
That's where you
were. Right.
Wait a minute. 14. You're on 7 in Hebrew, but we.
Yeah, you add 7 verses to it to get to the English. So this is verse 14 of the English Bibles.
Yeah, and you were on verse 14 in the Hebrew Bible before you switched it over.
Okay, so we'll have to go down to 19 then. And Yahweh said to Moses, this is the offering for Yahweh that Aaron and his sons are to offer on the day of he is anointed, Mashiach. 2 quarts of fine flour, half of it in the morning, half in the evening, as a grain offering from then on. It is to be well mixed with olive oil and fried on a griddle, a pancake. Then bring it in, break it into pieces, and offer the grain offering as a fragrant aroma for Yahweh. The anointed Cohen, and that would be the one who has been anointed with oil, shaman oil, that's the anointing oil that God used to anoint Aaron. The anointed Cohen, who will take Aaron's place from among his descendants, will offer it. It is a perpetual
Obligation.
I mean, it's not something that he gets to just do because he wants to.
It says obligation.
That's right. It must be entirely made to go up in smoke, an olah, up in smoke for Yahweh.
How can we do that today?
Huh?
How can we do that today?
Well, first of all, there's no priest, and secondly, there is no altar to do it on. Until the temple and the altar are restored, we can't do it. Every grain offering of the Cohen is to be entirely made to go up in smoke. It is not to be eaten. Adonai said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons, this is the law for the sin offering. The sin offering is to be slaughtered before Adonai in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. It is especially holy, and the Cohen who offers it for sin is to eat it. It is to be eaten in a holy place in the courtyard of the tent of the meeting. Whatever touches its flesh will become holy. If any of its blood splashes on any item of clothing, you are to wash it in a holy place. The clay pot in which it is cooked must be broken. If it is cooked on a bronze pot, it must be scoured and rinsed in water. Any male from a family of Kohanim may eat the sin offering. It is especially holy. But no sin offering which has had any of its blood brought into the tent of the meeting to make atonement in the holy place is to be eaten. It is to be burned up completely." And now we are down to chapter 7, verse 1. And I know we go down through chapter 8, and I'm not sure which verse, but
36.
verse 36, okay.
It's on the screen.
It's probably the last verse of chapter 8. This is the law for the guilt offering. What's the difference between a sin offering and a guilt offering? Chapter 7, verse 1 is correct. And so likewise, this is the law of chata, the trespass. Asham. This one I remember pretty easily because there's a prayer we do during Passover that says, Asham nu, we have sinned. And we begin to list all the sins that are possible for us to have sinned in. And it is a trespass offering, so it's just translated a sin offering in the English version, but it's not just a sin offering. A trespass offering is where we have clearly trespassed God's Torah, not on purpose, inadvertently or unknowingly even, and we have trespassed God's instruction, and therefore we have to make an offering to God for that trespass. And again, this is the Torah, and again, it's a new section, so we're starting a new area of Torah, a new area of the Torah. It's like there's more sections that are going to be covered later, but this is the one for the Asham, the trespass offering. It is most holy. Bamakom, and that's in a place. asher yishchatu, and shachat is the root, and shorish, and it means to slit the animal's throat in the prescribed ritual manner. And it shall be ha'olah, it shall be the elevation offering or ascension offering, yishchatu, that they shall kill, ha'asham, the trespass, and the blood thereof shall be sprinkled upon the altar around and about. And
It says all sides of the altar in the English.
let me just close that one. Are you learning anything from this? Okay. Well, we're almost out of time. They call it a guilt offering, but I don't see that in the Hebrew definition. Let me just go back over here and look again. This is asham, which means guilt, by implication a fault or also a sin offering. So it is the guiltiness. Those who are guilty are offering this guilt offering. As asham means guilty. So you're going to try to expiate your sin that made you guilty through this sacrifice. So they shall kill the trespass offering, and the blood thereof you shall sprinkle upon the altar all around about it. And let's go back to our modern version. He is to offer all of its fat, the fat tail. In some places it tells you to offer the fat tail. It tells you other places how that tail is to be removed, and that its fat is to be offered along with the fat offering.
It means the whole tail or just the fat of the tail?
It's all the way up to the bottom of the backbone. So it's the entire tail. Could be a tale of two cities, I don't know. Quit laughing at me. I was being funny on purpose.
So you could tell a tall tale.
It's a tall tale when I tell it. So the fat tail, the fat covering the inner organs, the two kidneys, the fat on them near the flanks, and the covering of the liver, which he will remove with the kidneys, the Kohen will make them go up and smoke on the altar as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a guilt offering, and every male from the family of the Kohen may eat it. It is to be eaten in a holy place. It is especially holy. The guilt offering is like the sin offering. The same law governs them. It will belong to the Kohen who used it to make atonement. And the Kohen who offers someone's burnt offering will possess the hide of the burnt offering which he has offered. Every grain offering baked within the oven, cooked in a pot, or fried in a griddle will belong to the Kohen who offers it. But every grain offering which is mixed with olive oil or is dry will belong to all the sons of Aaron equally. This is the law for sacrificing the peace offerings unto the Lord. So here, now we're changing the Torah, ending with a T, Torah, for shalom offerings. And it tells the different statutes and requirements that are specified by Yahweh for offering a shalom offering. A shalom offering can be a backyard barbecue. It could be any kind of a situation where we are sacrificing for the peace of God upon ourselves and our communities. We would not offer a shalom offering for our enemies. Lots could be said about that, but I won't. I'll hold off on that. So you're supposed to spread the matzah with olive oil, cakes made with fine flour mixed with olive oil and fried. With cakes of leavened bread, he is to present his offering together with the sacrifice of his peace offering.
Did you say unleavened or leavened?
Unleavened.
Okay.
From each kind of offering, he is to present one as a gift for Adonai. It will belong to the Kohen, who splashes the blood of the peace offerings against the altar. The meat of the sacrifice is his peace offering, for giving thanks is to be eaten on the day of his offering. He is not to leave any until morning. But if the sacrifice is connected with his offering, it is for a vow or is a voluntary offering. Then while it is to be eaten or on the day that he offers the sacrifice, what remains of it may be eaten the next day. However, what remains of the meat of the sacrifice on the third day is to be burned up completely. If any of the meat of the sacrifice of his peace offering is eaten on the third day, the sacrifice will neither be accepted or credited to the person offering it. Rather, it will have become a disgusting thing, and whoever eats it will bear the consequences of his wrongdoing. Now, if the challah bread that we eat on Shabbat is a mincha, wouldn't it fall under this same category, that we should not keep it around for more than 2 days? At the end of the third day, it's to be burned up. I was told by a young man who was studying in an Orthodox synagogue, oh, no. I told him, I said, how long has this bread been since it was baked? And they said, well, we don't know. It came in from Chicago or wherever they prepared it, and it was baked according to the law so that it meets all the standards. And so, but I said, so some of this could be more than 3 days old, right? Yeah. Isn't it supposed to be burned up in the morning of the third day? Oh, no, you're getting that mixed up with the Passover offering. No, I'm not. We just read it here, didn't we? That the mincha offering is supposed to be burned up on the third day, the morning of the third day. It's not to be kept any longer.
But the challah that we eat on Shabbat, is that classified as an offering?
Yes.
So therefore, when it comes Monday morning, it should be destroyed.
In my opinion, I believe that's correct, according to this. We should not be offering old, dried out, stale challah bread to God for an offering.
I was talking about burning it up afterwards.
That's why we burn it, giving it to him before it goes stale. Well, that's all we have time for today. I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and read through the end of the chapter before Shabbat, so that you'll be able to have maybe some things that you can comment on. And the next Parashah begins on chapter 8, and it's verse 20. Where is it? Come on back here. Here, Parsha. There it is. So Parsha Shemini. So the next Parsha will be called Shemini, Leviticus chapter 9, beginning in verse 1. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the class tonight, and it's a joy and a privilege to be able to teach this. And I'd like to encourage y'all that if you didn't get to see this in its entirety, always check back a little bit later, and you will find that we have uploaded the full Torah Parashah for you to follow along with. Whatever we covered in the class tonight will be uploaded shortly, and you'll be able to listen to the whole class after it's uploaded. So God bless all of you, and I'd like to invite you to join us again next Tuesday for another Torah class. And, that's right. Next Tuesday we are going to take a 1-week hiatus because of Passover. So we will not be having a Torah class next Tuesday. But in the following week, the week following Passover, we will begin them again. And so just be studying. Prepare yourself by studying. You'll be able to figure most of this out as you go once you get used to everything.
Actually, it will be 2 weeks because we have Hamatza 7. It falls on a Tuesday.
Okay, why don't you put some notes out there on the page, on the Yahoo site, or YouTube site, so people can know when we're going to be doing the next live broadcast. In the meantime, God bless you all, and may Yahweh spread his light upon you and bring you his shalom. Amen.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope that you will join us again this Shabbat morning, that's Saturday morning, for our 10 a.m. Bible Issues class, followed by our main service with worship, liturgy, and teaching. And it'll be 2 weeks until we see you again for our Tuesday night Torah class because it's Passover. And so we'll see you again on this Shabbat. Shalom, shalom.